Hello everybody, it is your boy Accept, and today I got another tutorial-esque thing for you guys. In fact, I'm making this in conjunction with the ultimate modding guide for Intravenous 2, which if you found this video through that's, well, hey, welcome to this video where I'll go over step by step how to do what we're going to do in this video. But if you found this through my main channel, then and you find this interesting, then yeah, continue watching and I will explain how multiple choice cutscenes work. Now, if you have played Intravenous 2, you know that in the game there are cutscenes that result in A or B choices. Like, for example, in the main campaign, Sean is given the option to either spare a target or kill the target. And some people may have wondered, how do you do that within the game? How do you do that within the map editor? It doesn't seem like there's a way to do that. Now there is, but it's a little bit more complicated than it seems. It could be a little complicated. It could be a little annoying, especially if you don't know how to do Lua coding at all. I know enough. I'm not proficient at all coder. In fact, I want to give credit to where credit's due. I want to thank Avo from the Explosive Squat Games Discord for helping me out with figuring out how to do this. So I want to give credit and a shout out to him because without him showing me the code and the examples that he gave me to figure out how to do this, I wouldn't be making this video. So I want to just give credit to him. But hopefully this video at least elucidates how to get this to be done. So anyways, without further ado, let's do something real quick. We're going to go into the map editor and we're going to make a new map. That's the important thing to do first. And we're going to quickly set up a map. It's going to be no frills, no thrills or anything. There's going to be some stupid shit I'm going to add into it to make this a little bit more engaging. But for the most part, there's not going to be much to it. There's not going to be any buildings. There's not going to be any like sort of anything. It's just going to be a blank map with a bunch of grass. So first things first, I'm going to go to tile grid objects. I'm going to set a, let's see, a player spawn and then have it set to 90 degrees. And then I'm just going to lay down some carpet. I'll just lay down, actually, hold on. That's right there. So like maybe like some red carpet right here, because why not? I want to make sure. Okay, cool. And then what I want to do as well is add some blue carpet, because screw it, why not? We got a red carpet and blue carpet, and this is going to be important for what we're going to do. Anyways, so we got that set up. Now I need to set up some cutscenes. So this is going to be the interesting part of this. Now, first things first, don't set up any dialogue yet. Now, I will set up some dialogue, but there's an important step that needs to be made before we finish anything out. But what we need to do first is, in fact, a lot of the stuff I'm going to do, I'm going to skip over just because, one, this is not a tutorial about how to set up cutscenes. This is a tutorial on how to set up a cutscene for multiple choice. So a lot of it, I'm just going to zoom past. In fact, I'm going to make a pause here. And once everything's set up, we'll continue to the next step. Okay, so I got my cutscenes and everything set up to be exactly the way I want it to do. However, there's one step that we haven't taken. And that's because we haven't set it up yet, which is going to involve a little bit of Lua coding as well as other things. But before we continue on, what we're going to do is we're going to save this map. I'm just going to call this choices A and B. Save map. And then once that's all saved, what we're also going to do is we're going to export as a mod. Now, this is important because otherwise this will not work at all. So we want to make sure we export this as a mod so that it goes within our roaming /intravenous/level workshops folder. And that's going to be important because without it, it's just not going, none of this is going to work because it won't create a main Lua file, which we need, and it won't create the necessary folders that we need for everything to work. So that's what we need to do. First off, I'm just going to create a description, you know, make a choice. And we're just going to call this choices. Or actually, you know what? Red carpet or blue carpet. Timeline 0000. Then export as mod. All right, so now that's all set up. So now we just need to go to, let's see, our levels workshop. And there it is in our roaming folder, which, by the way, to get to this, oh, actually, hold on. I just remembered I needed to set, there we go. So if you check the roaming folder, which is underneath your, so you need to go to users on your local disk, users, your username, app data, roaming, Intravenous 2, and then, of course, we got our levels workshop, as well as this is where we find our maps for our creations that we do in the map editor. All this stuff goes in here. And yeah, so anyways, the most important thing we need to do is we need to go to this, which is very important. Now we got our main Lua file right here, which we're going to open up. And so we got our main Lua file, and I already have a Lua file already set up, which we're going to go through step by step. In fact, down below, if you're in the ultimate modding guide for Intravenous 2, in the section where we talk about this, there will be a zip folder for this example map, as well as everything else. So you can check out the code and how this all works. And it's all laid out with all these notations and whatnot. You'll also find images of this on the ultimate guide. You'll find screenshots of this as well. So don't worry about it. You're gonna find this just fine. It's all laid out with notations and whatnot, so you can just read every single thing so you know exactly what they do. Because it's important to not make a mistake here, because if you make any mistakes, it's gonna make things a little awkward. Okay, so we have a copy of this Lua file. The reason I'm making a copy of it is so I don't end up ruining the original Lua file, because I want to use that as an example for you to download, so you can use this code here to do exactly what you want to do. But anyways, let's go over every step. So right here, we got the first line of code, dialog handler dot register question. This code here, basically what it does is it registers a new dialog ID without adding it in within the map editor. Because that's one of the things that I did not do, is I did not make this line of dialogue for this within the game. Because what this is gonna do, what's gonna happen is the main Lua file is going to pull from this Lua file to make sure it's forced within the map, so that any code and stuff here, like this dialog ID with the questions, will be inserted into the map itself without having to create it within the map. Do you follow me? It's a little complicated. I told you it's a little complicated, but that's what this does. And then you got the ID here, enter, which I specifically state right here, enter dialog ID here. So for the sake of this video, we're just going to call it dialog example, and that's just going to be the ID. And then we got our image and name ID. This is going to be the, so if you're familiar with the map editor, you can set up in the dialog options to choose which portrait and which name ID will be speaking when the dialogue is running, when the dialogue is chosen. So whatever dialogue is going on, it'll give you the portrait and the name ID specifically. So if you, for example, if you put pro tag in the name ID, it'll be Steve from IV2. And then the portrait, if you were to say portrait underscore Steve. That would be Steve. It's Steve. So, but for this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to IV1 underscore Hitman, because that's the ID for the Hitman image for IV1. And then we're just going to leave the name ID here unknown, because that's exactly what that is. So, and then here's the text line right here. Now this is very important. You want this section of code right here, enter dialog ID here next, or text rather. You want to make sure it's the same ID as the ID right here. So we're just going to change it to dialog example, and then underscore text. And then this line right here, or this specific section of this line, is going to be the text that's going to be displayed when you pull from this ID from this Lua file within the map. So this is very important that you do this. This is very important that you do this, because otherwise it's just not going to do it. It's just going to read this. So make sure you change this to whatever dialogue you want. So here's an example of the dialogue I want to be said. So it'll be, I don't know, there are 2 carpets in front of you. You need to make a choice. Red carpet. And on one of them. Red carpet. Or blue carpet. By the way, this video is going to have multiple chapters and sections, so if you want to skip ahead to any important parts or go back to certain parts if you're not sure how to do it, then you can do that. So just want to make that very clear. So that's going to be the text that is going to be said when this dialog ID is pulled from the map, when everything is all set up. So I'm going to save that real quick, make sure I don't lose any progress. And then right here, you got this line of code right here. You got answers. And basically, as the notation says, enter answers you want the player to be able to choose. And then right here, these are 2 separate IDs. And this is important because this is going to have something to do with what's going on right here. So these 2 are very important. So there's going to be example 1 and then example 2. You got number 1 choice example in quotations, and then below is 2 choice example 2. We're just going to keep these the same. It doesn't really matter that much. It's only important for these dialog handler register answer lines of code, because without that ID, it won't know what to pull from. Because without these, it's useless. So make sure that this is what you got. Now you can also add more questions if you want. Like if you want it to be 3 choices, you can say go, I don't know, comma, semicolon, 2, or a paragraph, parentheses, choice example 3. And then you can just leave it as is, or you can add more and just do the same thing over and over again. We're just going to make this 2 lines of code though, because we only want 2, and then we got to get rid of that comma as well. We're only going to have 2 of them. Okay, and then we get to our important parts, which is the option A and option B point of code. So you got this line right here, a cutscene ID, which says right here example cutscene 1, and in fact it's going to be cutscene A because that's what I have it listed in the map. Then this one's going to be example cutscene B. In fact, I think it's all one, or no, I think it's cutscene A and cutscene B if I remember correctly. So yeah, let me pull that up. Yeah, I think it's just cutscene A and cutscene B. So let's just shorten that up. And if there's any mistakes made, we can go back to this code later, but I don't think I need to. And then of course we got the ID here. So basically this cutscene ID here, so basically this is what it's going to do. What's going to happen is you want to enter your cutscene ID that you want. So you got choice A and choice B. Choice A is going to pick cutscene A. That's why we need to set up multiple cutscenes, because without it, if you don't have a cutscene set up for it, it's not going to know what to choose. It's just going, in fact, it might just crash the game. So you got to make sure you have the cutscenes already set up for this code to work. So I already have the cutscene set up. So I just need to put in the ID, which is cutscene A, which is as it's put into the game in the map editor that I did for the map that we're doing for this example. And then we got the choice ID, which is the ID up here. So quotations 1 underscore choice underscore example 1. And like this says, the answer ID for choice number 1. And then we got question, which again, you need to make sure you also put the ID of the cutscene here as well. So it's going to be cutscene A. Gonna get rid of that, and then underscore next. And then yeah, anyways, actually I think I got that right. Hold on, give me 1 second. Sorry, I was wrong. So this question, this line of code right here that says question equals, what you need to do is you need to put in the dialogue ID that's going to be chosen for that cutscene. It's a little weird. It's strange, but we're just gonna do dialogue A for this. That's what's written in my map. And then we gotta put cutscene A. Oh wait, no, it has to be the dialogue ID. That's right. Dialogue A underscore text, and then so you got this part right here and then this part. So this part right here is important. So you got these two IDs right here. You got these two IDs right here. Choice 1 example 1 and choice example 2. This part right here is going to be the text that's going to be displayed in that button prompt for choice A or choice B. So I want this text to read red carpet. That's going to be what's displayed in the dialog box when the choices come up. So red carpet, and then the other one's going to be blue carpet. So we'll just change that as well. Carpet. And then I'm just going to change the rest of the dialogue as well, or the rest of the code here to be exactly what I need it to be. So, and then the question, the dialogue is going to be dialogue B, I believe. Yeah, dialogue B. B. Underscore next. And dialogue B underscore text, and then blue carpet. So that's the code. Now it's all set up exactly the way I want it to be set up. So now that we got this Lua code already set up and ready to go, what do you got to do next? So here's another important thing we got to do. Okay, so what I need to do is I need to take this Lua code right here, and we're going to go to our files where it is placed within our roaming folder, and we're going to put it right here. So it's in our levels workshop folder for choices A and B. That's the map. And then we're going to open up our main Lua folder. Okay, so give me one moment. So I'm going to copy real quick the name here. There we go. And then what we want to do, so you got maps, semicolon register mod map, and then you got the code here that loads the map that, you know, for the map that you're going to load in. If you're loading it as a mod or whatever, this is important, because without this, it's not going to load the map. But that's not what we want. So you see this line here that says require. So what we want to do is we want to go below that, type require, parentheses, and then quotation, and then we want to put in the name of the file we want this main Lua file to load, which is our Lua file we just edited the code for, which will implement that multiple choice thing for our cutscene. So end that with a quotation as well, and close off the parentheses there, then just save the Lua file, save it. Now it's going to require this Lua file right here. Okay, so now it's all pretty much set up exactly the way I want, but I need to do some changes as well. Give me 1 second. Okay, so one of the things you need to also make sure to do, one of the things you want to make sure to do is you want to make sure if you end up making any saves or whatever to your map when you're doing this whole process, make sure that any files that are saved over or whatnot, you put that in your level workshops folder so everything is in line with each other. Because otherwise it's gonna screw with things. It's gonna make things really weird. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to our folder here, Intravenous 2, roaming/Intravenous 2. Go to our maps. Go to choices A and B. Just take the map, the GDS map file. We don't need the back file at all. That is not necessary. Go to levels workshop, choices A and B, files, and we're just going to copy that over. A and B, save that over. There we go. All right, cool. So everything's Gucci. So everything's all saved over. Quit out of this because we're going to need to reload the game to make sure all the changes work. Okay. Okay. So the next step we need to do, and this is very important, especially if you're doing it for like one map, you need to make sure you take the map file from the levels workshop folder in your roaming folder for Intravenous 2, and you want to take it to your mods folder in your Steam library where Intravenous 2 is installed. And if you don't have a mods folder, just create one. That's all you need to do. New folder, all lowercase mods. That's all you need to do. And then you just paste it over as such. So that way this map and all the Lua files and stuff will load in to the game. So, and if everything works well, then there shouldn't be any issues. The game won't crash or anything like that. It should be able to pull all the necessary info from the Lua in order to work. Hopefully I did everything right. Give me 1 moment. Okay, so we're back in the game. It didn't crash, so that means something worked right. So we're gonna go into the map editor now, and we're gonna load up the map again. And if everything worked right, let's go to our... Aha! So if now, this is how I know it worked. Because if it didn't work, if it didn't pull from the Lua file, this thing right here would be blank. Now, keep in mind, I did not write that dialogue in here. It's not in here. It is pulling from the Lua file. If it is red, that means you did something wrong. If this dialogue box right here, the dialogue ID box, is not white, but red, like it basically means something went wrong. It's not working as intended. So anyways, if you did everything correctly, this is what you should get. There are 2 carpets in front of you. You need to stand on one of them. Red carpet or blue carpet. And then you got the dialogue boxes. There you go. So, red carpet or blue carpet? We're going to choose red carpet. You chose wisely. Congratulations. And then it'll just fade out. And there we go. But we can also do this again. There are 2 carpets in front of you. You know the drill. We're gonna choose blue carpet this time. And he goes to the blue carpet because it's loading from the other cutscene that I set up. You chose poorly. And he blows up. So there you go. So that's how you do it, guys. That's how you do it. Now, if you run into any issues during this, in fact, let me pull up that Lua file again. So if for some reason during this process, something didn't work at all, like maybe the game crashed when I tried to pull the Lua, maybe something went wrong with the coding, or maybe you forgot to close out this like quotation with another quotation, or maybe, you know, you messed some part of the code up. You know, this is why I would recommend making a copy of this Lua file or save it as a different name, because you don't want to. But then again, you could just download the example Lua or the example map pack. I'm gonna make it 2 different downloads. One which has the map pack as well as the example code as well. And then on top of that, there will also be just a regular file for the Lua code itself. That way you can look through this yourself and just use it yourself, and just, you know, without having to go through all that frills and whatnot. You just get the Lua file if you want. But yeah, if something went wrong during this process, just make sure you double check your code. Again, if you make any new saves to your map, when if something went wrong there and you need to save it, make sure any saves to that map, in fact, let me pull up the display capture again. Make sure you go to, oh, wait a minute. Make sure you go to your roaming folder. Any saves you make sure you go to the Intravenous folder /maps, and then make sure you copy the saved map here into your Levels Workshop folder and replace the file that's in there. And then you move that over to your mods file in, where is it? Fuck, what is going on here? In your Steam library, and you overwrite that as well. Or just take the whole folder from the roaming folder and just overwrite this, so that way it's just super simple. It has all the right code, all this, you know, if you're editing, it's just good practice. Just make sure that anything you're changing or whatever, just make sure everything you do, make sure you keep everything the same and up to date, because otherwise things will just not work. So anyways, that's enough rambling. I hope this explained how to do this correctly. Hopefully you got something out of this. If you did, I appreciate it. Also, if you want to see, like, because I know I skimmed over the cutscene process. If you guys want like a tutorial on how to make cutscenes and how to do that, feel free to let me know down in the comments below. I'm thinking about doing one. But yeah, that's about all I got. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you did like this video and you found it informative, hit the like button and all that bullshit. Feel free to subscribe for more related content, especially if you're interested in Intravenous related stuff, or maybe map related stuff to it, because I am making my own map pack. It's called Blood Money. I'm hoping for it to come out this year. And that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Have a nice day, night, whatever makes you happy, and take it easy, guys. I'll see you guys on the flip side. Peace.